Hello everyone, today is a special day. Today is Rosh Hashanah, and Rosh Hashanah is the celebration of the Jewish New Year. Today's book is called Two New Years, and it's actually the celebration of Rosh Hashanah and the Chinese Lunar New Year, because this family is bicultural. They have Jewish heritage and Chinese heritage, so they're celebrating both. This is by Richard Ho and illustrated by Lynn Scurfield. My family celebrates two New Years, Rosh Hashanah in the fall and Lunar New Year in the spring. Yeah, so Rosh Hashanah comes about in the fall time. That's why we're celebrating it now. Traditionally, people like to eat apples and honey, and Chinese Lunar New Year is a spring holiday. And one color associated with the holiday is red. One follows the Jewish calendar, one follows the Chinese calendar. So here in the blue we have the Jewish calendar, and here in the red we have the Chinese calendar. One began in the Middle East, so this would be the Jewish culture, and the beginning of Rosh Hashanah started in the Middle East. And East Asia is where China is, where the Chinese Lunar New Year began. They represent different peoples with different histories, cultures, and traditions, but in many ways they are also alike. So it looks like the mom in this family is from the Jewish heritage, culture, and traditions, and the dad is from Chinese heritage, culture, and tradition. It says they might have some differences, but in many ways they're alike, which I find to be so true of many things. Both New Years mark the passage of time. I really want to pause there and think that's what's so important, and I see it all over the world. Humans like to acknowledge the passage of time. We like to celebrate New Year's and other holidays that mark the time passing, so we can take a pause and appreciate things. And these are just two holidays that came out of that, how we value celebrating passage of time. As this year becomes last year, we sweep past troubles out the door and cast old mistakes into the depths. So it's sort of a way to say goodbye different ways to the negative things that we might be holding on to, the mistakes, the troubles. We don't want that anymore. We're going to be starting fresh and new. That's a similarity. As next year becomes this year, we pray for future success and try on new beginnings. Yeah, often New Year's is a time to start setting goals and start thinking, what is it that I would like to accomplish in this new year? How can I grow as a person and become more successful in the things that matter to me? It's a time of reflection. Both New Year's bring family home. Children and grandchildren reunite with bubbies and zadies, rejoice with mamas and yayas, and remember the ancestors who live in our hearts. So yeah, each holiday, it's a time for family, whether it be bubbies and zadies or mamas and yayas, which is probably what they call grandparents in those different languages, and remembering people who may have passed. It's a good time to connect with your family. Both New Year's inspire delicious dishes. We prepare food that symbolize togetherness and the heartfelt sharing of good wishes. Yeah, so the foods might be different, but the thought behind the food and the sharing is the same. It's a time of celebration and good wishes, togetherness, abundance and unity, fruitfulness and renewal, long life and prosperity, good deeds, and a sweet year ahead. So all these foods kind of represent the ideals that people are thinking of when they think of New Year's. Both New Year's soar with unique sights and sound. We hear the blast of a ram's horn and the clatter of fireworks. So here on Rosh Hashanah, they are going to blow from a special horn. And in the Lunar New Year, it's a time where they do fireworks and have parades and dragons. Very exciting. We lift our voices in song, and we see lanterns lift to the sky. We say goodbye to fear and regret, welcoming new joy and hope. Yeah, again, so many similarities. Looking for welcoming in joy and hope. I like that line. Together we watch, listen, and celebrate. One family, 2 New Years, a shared year of double blessings. Yeah, I bet this family really enjoys celebrating New Year's twice a year. And in different ways, but again, similar thoughts behind it. And this is a note from the author saying, this is sort of a reflection of my family. That their kids are Chinese and Jewish and get to grow up in the best of both worlds, they say. So, just kind of a neat little note about what inspired this story. And here's it says a visual glossary. So, picture kind of accompanying what is this thing, which is a lunar solar calendar, and what's going on here. So sweeping in the Chinese culture to symbolize sweeping away bad luck, and other things that are in this book. So you can read a little bit more about them if you want to see clothes, food, some of the other things that are used in the illustration. It's quite a bit, and I really like that the book included this, because you can learn a lot about both cultures with these pictures, picture glossary. And here is sort of a way that you can make connections. It says, how do you celebrate? So New Year traditions are diverse as the people who celebrate them. The customs in this book are based on the blended traditions of the author's family, but every family's celebration is different. Does your family celebrate Rosh Hashanah? How about Lunar New Year? If your family has a tradition of celebrating one or both of these holidays, how does your experience compare to mine? So then there's some questions you could answer to make connections to this story. What does New Year mean to you and your family? How does your family celebrate the start of a new year? Do any of the customs or themes in this book remind you of your own family traditions? Where's your family from? How are your New Year traditions influenced by your cultural backgrounds? What other holidays or time of year do you celebrate? Which personal or communal traditions are your favorite? What similarities or differences do you notice between how and what you celebrate and how your friends, classmates, or extended family celebrate? Yeah, so those are great things to think about. Maybe even as you're reading or after you're done reading, about how do I connect to this book? I noticed some similarities. I don't celebrate Rosh Hashanah or Lunar New Year, but I noticed that each of those New Year's is thinking forward and thinking, what do I want this New Year to look like? How can I make it a good year? And that's something I always like to think about when I celebrate New Year's, which is I celebrate the calendar New Year of January 1st. And a lot of times you may have heard the New Year's resolutions. It's a time of thinking forward and sort of and what can I do to make this next upcoming year a really great year for me? Well, I hope you enjoyed this book. I hope if you celebrate either one of these holidays, you have a great time, especially today if you celebrate Rosh Hashanah. Happy Rosh Hashanah to you, and thank you for reading and learning with me. I hope you have a terrific day. See you soon.